Alright, so earlier today we covered the news that Naughty Dog dropped on the new chronological mode that they released for this update regarding The Last of Us Part 2. Now that means that you would be able to play the entire story of The Last of Us Part 2 in a new way, in a way that, told you the story in a chronological order. That's basically it. So we covered it and we talked a little bit about it. So earlier today what we had was a news update. Now I've played 3 hours of the new way to play, and I want to just tell you guys a little bit about my initial thoughts on it and how the chapters go, how the story is flowing now. So when you start off the game, you start with tracking lesson. That is the first thing you see. So when you start playing The Last of Us Part 2, it takes you right to the tracking lesson for Abby. After that, after you get to meet her father and you kind of just get to play with her a little bit, you enter the prologue where Joel is talking to Tommy about what happened. Then you move on to the birthday gift. Then you move to the aquarium for Abby. Then you move to finding strings with Ellie. After that, you jump into the St. Mary's Hospital with Ellie. So you do those back to back because they follow each other pretty well. Now the final one that you do is Winter Visit, where Abby tells Owen that she knows where Joel might be at and that they need to go. From there, you move into the dance, and then you move to Waking Up. You go to the Overlook as Abby, where she's already in Jackson. Then you go to Patrol with Ellie, the Horde with Abby, and then you basically get to the point where Joel dies, and then, they set out on that big quest, that revenge quest. So you basically do 13 missions before you get to the point where Ellie leaves to day 1. So there's actually a lot of work to do to get to that first point in this new chronological mode. And to be quite honest, I just want to tell you guys my experience with it. It felt very different, for sure. It definitely felt different, and it had a, The Last of Us always, besides it being a very Joel and Ellie story for me and always will be, another part of it is The Last of Us, the last of the humankind. Imagine if everything that you knew got destroyed and everyone around you died and this infection just tore through the globe. You'd be the last of the humanity that was there. You'd be the last of the humans. That's always been a big thing about The Last of Us. One of the greatest things about The Last of Us is its world. So when you start off a game like this, let's say that you've never ever played The Last of Us Part 2, you don't really know much of The Last of Us. Someone out there right now has never played The Last of Us 1 or The Last of Us 2 or watched any of the shows. And somebody at some point will one day pick up the game and play The Last of Us Part 1, and then they will jump into The Last of Us Part 2, and that guy is gonna click chronological order, and that'll be his first experience ever. So you start off this second game and you jump into it and you're playing as this girl that you don't know. Then you see her father, and then the big reveal happens. Oh my god, this was where Joel and Ellie were last. And then you realize who this guy is and what Joel did. The impact of that might hit a little bit different because it's the very first thing that you see in The Last of Us Part 2. When I saw it and I tried to put myself in the shoes of I've never played this. Let me try to think like I've never played this. Let me try to think this is brand new. And I really forced myself to do that. And Abby's father's death hit a little bit more than it had in the past, just because it was the very first thing that you had seen. And then you see Joel, and Joel's the one that did it, but you also understand Joel. I mean, I'm team Joel all the way, so I'm always gonna understand that Joel's my guy. But there is a different feeling to it. And then you kind of jump into the very first mission with Joel and Ellie, and they're doing their birthday gift, and it's cool because you're like, oh my god, he did teach her a little bit how to do the guitar. Now they're together. Then you jump from that, you go to the aquarium. I was like, oh, okay, we see Abby again. Now she's growing. Then you go to another year, and Ellie and Joel are kind of not as good anymore. Then the St. Mary's Hospital one, where Ellie finds out, and then they kind of have a falling out. And then Abby comes up again, and she looks older. Something happened with Owen, and now they're gonna go to try to find Joel. So it has already established a lot of what is going on. A lot of story beats have been established. You know that Abby is hurt. You know that Abby wants revenge. You know that Abby wants to potentially find Joel. You know that Ellie and Joel had this falling out, and it's pretty intense, to be quite honest. It's very different. They even showed the fight with Ellie and Joel at the dance, and then they had the conversation at the end where they try to make up. That was the only one that felt a little bit out of whack because it happened so quickly, but it still makes sense because it is how it happened chronologically. And just kind of seeing them argue and then seeing Ellie try to reconcile with him after years of fighting and stuff like that, it was really nice, really good. I will say though, that scene in particular where they kind of make up was so impactful the very first time that I played it, because the story is told in a certain way, the original way, that you just have this anger build up in you, and then you get to that point and you see Joel again and you're like, oh my god, I thought I was never gonna see Joel again. This is like a treat, to get that far into the game and then see Joel. I thought that scene always made so much sense towards the end of the game. But again, everything kind of gets laid out. There's just a lot of groundwork done, and it just laid out very beautifully for you. You don't get to the part where Joel dies until 3 3 hours in almost. Like I sped through it because I recently played the game like a month ago, maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago. I played the game to completion. So I didn't need to look at stuff. I wanted to just get as fast as I could through the sections to see the story and to see the structure of it. And that was it. So I was able to get to the part where Joel died about the 3 hour mark, like 2 hours and 55 minutes. But if you take your time and you look for everything, you could have probably gotten there like in the 4 hours or even 5 hours if you really like slow the hell down and appreciate everything. So there's a lot more of Joel in the beginning, which actually makes the game feel a little bit more different. It's just different because I felt like I was able to spend more time with Joel back to back to back to back in the beginning and see him, and it just felt nicer almost. Now, I didn't get to the part where Seattle Day 1, Seattle Day 2 or anything like that, but I have a feeling that when you get to that part, it'll probably be Ellie Day 1 and then Abby Day 1. And you won't have the flashbacks. So it'll be like action, 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 action for those 3 days, and it might just feel better. In terms of pacing, the problem that I had with the pacing aspect of The Last of Us 2 was when you got to the Abby part, it just felt like a damn drag to go through those 3 days again. I always felt that it might have been better if you took turns, Ellie and Abby, Ellie and Abby, Ellie and Abby until you met in the middle. I really think that's the biggest difference. But those are just my opinions, and that's how I'm feeling after 3 hours in the game. It's definitely very, very different. You might even sympathize with Abby a little bit more because you understand her from the beginning a little bit more. It doesn't make Joel's death any easier on me or on people that are like fans of Joel. If you were put in Abby's shoes and you didn't know the context or anything like that, even if you did know the context, you'd probably want to get revenge for somebody killing your father. I get that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not here to say something crazy about that because I understand that part and we've talked about that before. But it's just there's just different sensations that you get playing it this way. When I got to the part where Joel gets murdered, I hate that part. I said it in today's earlier video where we were talking about the news. I hate that part. It's awful. I love that Joel he's badass till the end. He's like, save whatever speech you got. I always thought that shit was dope. But, just seeing that again and again and again, I hate seeing that damn death. And I got mad again. I was feeling okay with Abby there and everything. Like, you do try to understand her, but it's just the torturing of Joel, and it happened for so long. Like, she starts off with a jacket and everything. She takes it off and she's beating his ass with it. It's a gruesome death, a gruesome way to go. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm sure there's gonna be some people out there like, fuck him, I don't care. Well, I do care. And it hurts to see every single time. But again, I try to understand Abby as much as I can, as much as I'm allowed to. But this new way of playing the game, it is just very different, and it does kind of set the stage differently. I think it might be the best way to play it for some of you guys. Not for everybody, but some of you guys that want to experience it in a different way, want to experience something new, want to maybe see how it would have been if the pacing was different. I think some of you guys will enjoy it. Now, there is a divide. Obviously, there's always going to be a divide. Some people say, you know what? The game, Last of Us Part 2, was a masterpiece just how it was. I loved the way that it was structured, the way that it was, because it evoked certain emotions. You guys have said that in the last videos in the comments, and you're not like, you don't want it. You don't know how to feel about it. You don't think it's a good idea. But then some of you guys said, well, the biggest problem with The Last of Us 2 was the pacing. I hated it. This fixes the pacing. This has potential to bring the game back in a brand new way and maybe make it better than it ever was. Maybe fix the issues that it had, and this can actually now be considered a really good game because of this. When this was announced, I saw it at surface level. I thought, well, it's just a new mode. I even made a comment like, was this worth doing, or was this the right thing to do? And some people got in uproar about it. Like, I can't believe you said that. It's like absurd that you said that. Like, yada yada. And I understand if you have a difference of opinion. The only reason I said that, though, to clarify here, was because I thought the resources you used to create this chronological mode could have been used to work on the Heretic Prophet and the other unannounced Naughty Dog game. But that was just like an opinion. That was like a fleeting thought that I had. Like, if clearly you guys don't need to do that because Naughty Dog already has a handle. So whatever. That's what I thought at the beginning. But this is a different way to experience it. Some of you guys like it. Some of you guys might not like it. Some of you guys might think it was necessary. Some of you guys might think it's a waste of time. Honestly, I don't know. I think you'd have to go and check it out. I won't be playing it anymore, though, because I did just recently play it. But I did want to come and check it out, play a good amount to just kind of get the vibe. And it is a very different vibe. I am very curious to see how the Seattle Day 1, 2, and 3 play out and how the ending plays out. Like, when Ellie is playing the guitar, I guess it won't flash back anymore, and she'll just kind of, leave from there. But that was always a very beautiful scene when you got to the end of the game. But yeah, very different. A mode maybe needed, maybe not. I don't know. Definitely a different way to experience the game. And it might change somebody's opinion out there on the story. It really, really might.